Still no Merc on the PTS, but we do have Assassins, and maybe we'll talk about our brainstorming around what our second style choices are going to be. That and more coming up on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 398. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
It's going great. You know, we're here on the PTS, and we're both in our assassin characters. But what I've been doing this week, since I decided last week that I wanted to get to Renown 100 on 8 classes, that's what I've been doing. And I've actually made some great progress. When I first started, I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this because I had 3 or 4 classes that were down around, you know, between 30 to 50.
Yeah.
Because I play so many different characters and I hadn't concentrated on one. And so I was going to, my first plan was on my jug, I was going to just catch up on all the story, like play through the 2 nights and, you know, the Osa storyline, I think, and then get to the top and see where I was. But that was not giving a lot of renown. And then I did my normal thing of doing a bunch of heroics, and that was also giving some, but not a whole lot. But then I started doing the daily areas, and that was, for me, the money. So now I have like a little chart of who's done CZ 198 and who's done, you know, like Oricon, and because I like to combine them with Conquest, just because when you hit Conquest targets, there's renown associated with that. So you put the boost on, you get the renown from doing the weekly, you get renown from doing every quest that adds up to the weekly, you get renown for killing things, you get renown for all the Conquest targets you meet doing that, like defeat enemies 2, when you get your personal target and all that stuff. So let me bring up my spreadsheet here.
That's a good tip. So I mean, I sort of wrote it off and wasn't even going to try for it, although I think I have it on half of the characters. But if you've got a path, if you got a formula,
so like if I do CZ 198 on one day on one character, I probably won't do it on the next character until the next day, so that the weekly counts for Conquest as well.
Sure.
So like I started my jug started at 30 or 20 something, and on my jug she's already to renown 51, which is on my little schedule that I made for myself. It's like 3 weeks ahead of where I had to be to actually make it by the end of November.
Oh.
And and my operative was in the mid 50s and she's up to 75 now. And my
okay, you
my
need
Guardian.
to publish. You need to publish the strat, and then.
Oh yeah, if the daily bonus, the daily renown bonus helps too. Except for it's stuff that I don't do. Like when I sit down in the morning for coffee and contemplation, I want to run around and kill things, not necessarily go do a flashpoint or go do PvP or whatever. But yes, if you do the daily renown bonus, that's even more.
Okay. Cool.
So and then my Sork was close, like in the high 80s. Well, I say Sork, but my Inquisitor was in the high 80s. And then my Consular was in the high 90s. So, and then of course my Trooper and my Bounty Hunter were already done because I play them all the time. But so I basically have 3 left to do now, and it's looking good. So I kind of wish now I would have gone for the 999 one, because I could have done that if I would just started earlier, I'm sure. But oh well. So that's me, renown. So yeah. Yes, I am using Renown Boost, and I hate it when I look down and I have forgotten to renew it. But yeah, I have hundreds of Renown Boosts because we spent all our whatever the currency was back in the day that was going to go away. We spent it on Renown Boosts.
Right. I have stacks of them too, and have not used them, and I really should have.
Legacy Renown perks. I did not look at that, so that's something else that I could go click on. I might have those already, but I'm not sure. But I'm definitely going to double check that thank yous task. Okay. So anyway, that's what I've been doing this week. How's your week been going, Max?
It's been going quite well. We've been doing some fun things in and out of SWTOR. In SWTOR, I'm not really focused on the going after Renown 100 or Renown 1000 or whatever. What I've been doing is a lot of sorting and disintegrating and putting things on the market slowly over time.
Yep.
I have stacks and stacks of old materials. In fact, I started
Yeah.
pulling out some materials from previous expansions that I should have done before 6.0 and still putting
Right.
those up. So I'm doing a big clean out of that. I have been hoarding a lot of 306 mods, enhancements, earpieces, implants, only the ones that can be utilized by my classes. And I have a sheet that says only get the the right versions of each of these. Only get the adept of the crit mods, for example. However, because of all of the boxes that we've gotten, millions and millions of crates and boxes, I have pages and pages in various banks on various characters that each character, usually aligned with the crafting that they have, collects up all of those things. So I have a bunch of blasters, a bunch of shot tech, anything that had a 306 in it that was one of the mods that I could use. I didn't keep individual mods unless they were the ADR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or the ADR unnumbered if I wanted some extra for a set. Anyway, that's the main thing I've been doing: disintegrating, selling, and cleaning up. And I have a lot of work to do and a long way to go. My inventories on most of my characters are still. I have one of my characters, I think it's my Vanguard, has a bank tab filled with renown crates because I was too lazy to open them and they were filling up my inventory. So I just started putting them in the bank too. So I have a lot to do.
I mean, those are all RPM whatevers that you could be buying.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of work though, because you're still only
Yes,
getting
yes, it
like
is.
if you disintegrate everything out of a crate, maybe you got 30 tech frags. It's a
I
long way to
know, I know.
10,000.
But at least at this point, it's not a decision anymore. You just open it, click, disintegrate everything.
True. True. And that's
I
what I
mean,
need to start doing in
I
all
don't
of those
even look at
boxes. True.
mods anymore. I just disintegrate everything.
I should probably just get to that point. Declare bankruptcy. I declare bankruptcy. You can't just say it. You have to declare it.
Right, chicken. If it doesn't bring you joy, sell it on the GTN.
This spark joy. So that's what I've been doing. I also had fun at Mega on Friday. We'll talk about that. And I've been doing, which I said I would show during the show. I didn't let the chat room see it during the pre-show. I have been doing some additional modeling. As you guys know, I've been working on a
We
custom
didn't know that
astromech.
you were a model.
I've been modeling. This is I call this one a Magnum. That's my Zoolander my Zoolander impression. I have been doing 3D modeling. I've been working on a custom astromech to sort of represent the show. I've given it a backstory, which if you're doing sort of character modeling, even if it's a robot, having a backstory allows you to decide what details that you're going to put into it. The backstory is this is EPC 0, who has made its way through the galaxy and finally returned to us. And it has seen some stuff along the way. In fact, it had to, and was sort of one of the things I was working on this past week, it's had to become a bounty hunter along the way, even to just sort of make credits and, get some cash flow to be able to go from station to station to find its way across the galaxy to meet back up with us. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to maybe give it a weapon, an astromech, give an astromech a blaster, and what might happen. So I wanted to give it a weapon, and I was inspired by The Mandalorian. And in The Mandalorian, Bill Burr's character, what's his name? Mayfeld.
Mayfeld, yeah.
Mayfeld. I love Bill Burr in The Mandalorian. I think he played himself, but it worked really well. I love this. So I love the character of Mayfeld. And one of the cool parts of the character of Mayfeld, I don't think I put it up, but you got to remember the character of Mayfeld has the robotic arm blaster that sort of peeks over his shoulder. So he dual wields blasters, and he's got the third blaster that pops up over his shoulder. That was just fascinating to me. I thought that was a really cool way for here, let me type it in. Mayfeld blaster. Just show I thought that was a really cool way in the show to give a view of what just something interesting to a character who doesn't have the Force, but still make it very Star Warsy. So here he is. He's got no armor. He's not a stormtrooper. I wasn't a stormtrooper, smartass. He says that. He says that. Mando makes fun of him a little bit. But so he wasn't a stormtrooper. He's not like wearing armor. He's just a guy who's got a couple guns on him. And Star Wars blasters are modeled after our real world weapons of our, pistols and stuffs. So it might not look very Star Warsy just to see a guy walking around with a couple guns. And I thought this was a really interesting way to make that to make that. Why is this so tiny? That doesn't work. Nobody's going to be able to see that. So I thought it was a really interesting way to make it into a into a character.
Tiny and quick.
Well, I took it off of there because I'm going to have to inflate it. So, I mean, the resolution is going to be really bad, but I can still at least zoom in if I do it this way. Keep zooming, zoom, enhance, zoom.
Zoom and enhance.
Wow, this has got to be like 100 by 100 resolution. It's terrible. Anyway, you can see that blaster. People looked at the blaster, analyzed the frames in the scenes of The Mandalorian, and have shown what that model looks like. And I said, okay, I want my astromech to have that blaster. So let me zoom in on it, and I will show you the blaster first, and then I will show you what I have done with it, which amuses me. Okay, so first I will zoom in, and this only took this was pretty quick. This was pretty quick to model. I'm getting better and better. So this only took me it's still time, but it only took me a couple hours to model this. And then I even slapped some textures on it, and I put it on Twitter. I gave Twitter a day and a half to ask the question of, does anyone know what this blaster look is from? Does anyone get the reference? So here's the textured version of it. That is pretty close to that blaster that is over his shoulder. So I modeled it up, and I said, how might that look on an astromech? So this is what we've got. This is what we've got now. I'm still going to work on the arm a little bit more, the robotic arm, and then give the astromech a little bit more of a backpack that's maybe tricked out with a couple other things. But I like this idea of astromech that's got that Mayfeld blaster over its shoulder. Okay, long story, Shaggy Dog story, but there you go. That's what I was doing. You'll have to catch up or catch me in Discord to see a picture of it if you're listening to this on audio. I know it's not working for you all, but I've had a lot of fun creating a story for this astromech and then doing a lot of this detail work and then starting to add accessories. Yes,
I think I love this idea. I think it's really creative that you gave him that you gave him this pistol, because I can also see him building it for himself because, he's kind of a tinker.
Yes. Yeah. And he's also modded. He's a modded astromech too. If you look close, he's part SWTOR era astromech. If you look at the configuration of like the wheel in the back and how the leg comes forward, but it's also part more modern era. So he's tricked out and modded. He's got like the dome on top, which is reminiscent of, say, R2-D2, but even the eyepiece and the lens is still SWTOR era. The front panels are SWTOR era, but it's still a round body. So it's going to be this weird, advanced, tricked out, modded renegade, and then the paint job and everything is really is what I'm hoping on will really sell it. tricked out modded astromech. So there's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's talk about the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
First up, what do we got, Seema?
Oh yeah, what do we have? We have a contest coming up, and I mean, yes. Basically, it's a screenshot contest. It's the first time that BioWare has ever done this for SWTOR. There are a number of rules, so make sure you check out the post to get the rules right. But there was also a post today clarifying some things about it. Only some countries are eligible, and I guess that's limitations based on local laws and regulations. Dan says that they're looking into ways to expand that in the future, but for now, it only applies to the countries that are in the post. You can take the screenshots from within strongholds, flashpoints, etc., if they are meant to be on one of those 10 planets that are the planets that the contest covers. They originally picked 10 planets because they felt they were going to pick 10 planets, each of which represented something about the 10 years of the game. They also clarified about resolution because they had said 1920 by 1080, and people were asking, well, what if I have higher resolution than that? And they said, that's fine. Just 1920 by 1080 or higher is great.
Nice flex, bro. I see what you did there. What if
what if I have more than that? Yeah, that was not me.
My screen doesn't go below 4K. I'm sorry.
And then also the last thing is not to send in screenshots of super secret places that you jump to, and it's obviously not meant to be accessible to players.
Outside the environment. Anybody get that reference? So don't get yourself outside the environment and take a screenshot from there. Even if you can do that in game by parkour. And I've done a couple really cool screenshots like that. But yeah, don't do those. Because they want them, they want them real actual screenshots you can get that everyone can get in the game.
Right.
Those are fine rules, Seema. But you know about me. We got some rule breakers up in here. You all know out there. And I've actually let BioWare know that these are the only screenshots that are going to show up in Max's submissions. This is Mr. Foreman Crusher, actually a good view. Top 3 butts in the game. Top 3 boss butts in the game. Foreman Crusher. And I haven't ranked them within these 3, but the 3 are, in no particular order, Foreman Crusher, the Eyeless. Look at that. They never miss leg day. And let's get them going. Gargath. that is like quite a picture. This also wouldn't work because you can't have player characters in the photos either. But these 3 are going to be my submissions to the screenshot contest. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Best boss butts in the game. Yes. Also in the news, there was a post from random people on the forums that said, hey, are you going to have any cantinas going on? And so nothing all that big, but Eric responded and said, hey, we love cantinas and we miss how long it's been. We do want to do them in person. We will see the return of them someday. We hope to be able to do that when things settle down. Maybe in 2022. I think a lot of big organizations are planning for things to potentially be opening back up in 2022. In fact, I, for my day job, do a lot of work for a big industry conference, one of the biggest in the world, that happens in January in New York. At this point, we're scheduled to be there in person, live and in person in New York with, a few thousand people for that industry conference. So we'll see. If that happens, things start opening up, maybe we'll have some live in-person cantinas again. One thing that I thought of when I read this post, though, was we had a virtual cantina or 2. And they kind of said we like this. It's working pretty well. Let's do some more. And they haven't. It made me
Right.
realize that. Why have they not? Because those couple were great, weren't they?
We would like more of those. Yeah.
Yeah, they were amazing. They had the voice actors that came on and did the interviews with them, and Darren DePaul was just amazing. Do it again. Where'd those go? What happened to those? Everybody's busy working on 7.0, and I get that, but bring those back. They probably had some plans to do more and just have run out of time available to be able to do that. Dan, you got some nights and weekends, right? Everybody loves working on nights and weekends. Get that going. One last bit of news. What do we got, Seema? End of an era.
Last bit of news.
Tell me.
Oh, yes. Finally, Galactic Seasons 1 is over. Yeah, Galactic Seasons is completely out of my mind now since I
Right.
finished it. So
Dead
yeah,
to me.
but it's officially over as of last
It is
Tuesday, I
officially
think.
over. We will get Galactic Season 2 starting with 7.0, and then they already have plans for a Galactic Season 3 in 2022. So be interested to see how Galactic Season 2 evolves, but Galactic Season 1 is over. I don't know. I haven't been able to confirm or validate, but I heard that the Galactic Season screen was gone and you weren't able to do the cartel coin or credit catch up anymore. I don't know
Right.
if that's the
Yeah.
case. If there
Yeah,
still will
no.
be a way to like finish. Usually there's a way to finish it out even after it's over. I would be surprised if they just sort of cut it off and didn't give people a way to finish it out in the interim. Although you can't earn any more points to it, you could still finish it out by giving us money. I mean, if somebody wants to give them money, they might want to allow that. In guild and community news, we had a mega on Friday, on Saturday actually. Monthly epic guild activity. Monthly epic guild activity. Oh, Seema is inviting me. Mega, Sunday.
Except it's Saturday.
You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. There you go. It was on Saturday. It looks like we're going to be moving most of those to Saturday going forward. That works better for Marcus. He's got a ton of things going on. Marcus has some fancy plans in the works for October Mega, but the September Mega was really fun, and we had a good time. There was quite a bit of traversing the galaxy going on, going after a bunch of world bosses. We had a good group in there. It was our first one that was moved to a Saturday. We will be doing more, but look forward to the one in October as being a good prelude to 7.0 fun mega event. We've already started brainstorming a couple extra fun things that we might be able to do as far as that goes. And then our Friday schedules, we still have a couple things that happen on Fridays. One of them is a First Friday event, and that is Melung, one of our officers, doing flashpoints. First Friday flashpoints. That is going to be coming up in a week from now, the first Friday in October. Be sure you check in on our guild Discord, aie-guild.org, Discord link in the upper right, if you want to jump in with Melung and join some flashpoints. It's a good time to do flashpoints, get those renown ranks, and get to 100 or 1,000 or whatever the case may be. Shout out to the chat room.
If you ever wanted to check out what it's like to play board games online, come to the board games channel in our Discord because they play twice a month and you would be welcome.
Good call. That is First Friday is tomorrow. Oh, yes. First Friday in October is tomorrow. I haven't validated with Malung, but he's probably on top of it. I am wrong. 30 days has September. Oh, I can just stop right there. Dang it.
Wow.
I'll edit this. I'll edit it out. No, I won't. First Friday is tomorrow, October 1st. First Friday. So there you go. Thank you, Zen, in the chat room, another one of our wonderful officers that actually run everything in SWTOR and AIE, because as you can see, I am incompetent. So that is appreciated. Also, shout out to the chat room. They've been adding comments, giving us feedback. ensuring that we have some commentary to talk about. And I think everybody get your comments in there about Assassin, because neither Seema nor I are Assassin mains, and we're going to be talking about them shortly. So we're hoping
That's
there's
right.
going to be more comments.
Yeah, if you don't say something, we're just going to start making stuff up.
Going to be a short show. Yeah, we're going to make stuff up. I think when assassins can like whip the blaster out and just start shooting from stealth, that's a really cool move. So that looks really good on PTS. Bold move, Cotton. See how that works out for him. So shout out to the chat room. We will also catch up with you after the show. We do a little pre-show and post-show here at twitch.tv/New Overlords when we record on Thursday nights. So check us out there. But now it is time again to go back to that holocron that we all as Inquisitors have heard many times as we have been rolling our assassins over the years.
Deep in the ancient, monster-infested tomb of Marka Ragnos, there is a holocron filled with dark secrets and encased in a great stone monument.
And how do you open that holocron? No idea. Sith for generations have been unable to open this Marka Ragnos. Oh, I just shoot lightning at it and it opens. Oh, nobody, no. You're telling me no Inquisitor ever thought to shock it with lightning. They shock everything with lightning. They shock their friends with lightning. They shock their enemies. They shock their teachers. Everybody just shocks everybody. And they never thought to shock that holocron. Yes, I get it. We are the descendant of Marka Ragnos. Spoiler in the story. So maybe it was special for us. But it just sort of seemed like you just shocked it with lightning and it popped open. Anyways, Assassin is on the PTS. No, Merc is still not on the PTS. In fact, there was an update from Jackie that said, we have no update. We hope to have an announcement next week about what's coming next on the PTS and when it will be up there. Tick tock, there, BioWare. Tomorrow is October. Gotta get some stuff up there, finish up the PTS testing. So hopefully they'll be doing that soon. Yep. I would expect in the next week or two we will get Merc. Well, we still have to get Merc, and did we already get Gunslingers?
Yes,
so is
we
it
did.
only Merc is the only thing left?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Merc and PowerTech Vanguard.
Mhm.
Troopers and mercenaries. All right.
Troopers and bounty hunters.
Bounty hunter. Yeah, bounty hunters and troopers. Good. Hopefully we'll get that up there, and then we can put ourselves to the test and see if we really do get really kind of whiny about our own class and what changes might be coming. But we're here to talk about assassins, and you know who's not whiny about the assassin changes? All the assassins.
Yeah.
So we're going to break it down and look at a little bit of the feedback in the forums. Yeah, what's your overall take so far of what you've seen, especially of some of the feedback out there? I was impressed. I was pleased to see that somebody likes their changes at least. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I was very pleased to read the feedback.
It was some of the most positive of any of the sets of changes that I've seen for anything that's gone on the PTS so far of any of the classes. And so you've been looking at the DPS more. I've been looking at the tank a little bit more. Although I mostly play DPS on Assassin these days, so I did do a little testing of DPS on Assassin. But both.
Well, you know what I do on my Assassin and my Shadow.
Yes, you have a very complicated reactive rotation with spreadsheets and flowcharts that's optimized for maximum DPS.
Right.
It goes. That's lit
1,
up.
2,
I'm gonna
3,
press that
4.
one. That one's
Right.
off cooldown. Let's press that one.
Right. Get in trouble, press heroic moment.
Yes, heroic. Oh, I never press heroic moment. It's not on my main bars, but it's on one of my sidebar. It's always on a sidebar, and I just never get to pressing it. I should press it
Here's what I do. I keep binding it to H.
for heroic.
So yep.
Is that for help me, Shea Vizsla?
Yeah.
You're my only hope. Rebellions are built on hope. Yes. That is what it's that's what it's for, and it's really good. Use your heroic moment. Don't be like Max. Use your heroic moment. I think that's a great idea. And yes, we should all be using our heroic moments. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at I think I'm on one of the DPS specs. Do you want to, I can switch over because I think you didn't do hatred, did you? You did deception.
Deception, yeah.
Lies. These are the tools of the Sith. Deception. I'll switch over to deception. We can take a look because I was telling Seema all about how she should use you should use Deathfield more. She's like, I don't even have Deathfield. I'm like, oh, deception. So here is our ability tree. That is a little hard to see, isn't it? That's okay. We will hover over some stuff. Let me not cover up Seema. As with any of the disciplines, there are a couple decisions to make. The level 70 decisions seem to be the big one, so we'll get to that in a second. But anything big sort of stand out to you, especially down here in the lower levels? Like here, level 20 with an active versus passive choice. That's a tough one. I think that's going to be a tough one for a lot of people to make.
So it was really hard for me to make any kind of assessment because what I specifically use my assassins and my shadows for is for doing basically planetary heroics. That's what I like to do on them. And I haven't done a lot of PvE in groups or anything with them, although I've done a little bit. But because scaling isn't really a thing.
Yeah. Although it's supposed to be, but it's not yet.
Right. So I couldn't really. What I wanted to do was test what I normally do and be able to say, yes, I can still do what I normally did. And it looks like I will be able to. It's just couldn't really because, everything just melts when you're level 80 and they're level 50 or 20 or 8,
Right. I saw one UI issue in that I sort of think they should fix, which is here at level 10, you actually get both recklessness and reaping strike, even though it looks like you should have to pick between them, and you can click on these things and you can even click on them. And if anyone with the set of 3 is a choice, one of 3, but here's 2 right next to each other, and it looks like you should pick one, but they're not. So I think that's a little bit of a UI bug that a UI issue that they should fix.
I mean, I don't know why, but when I saw that, I thought it meant I was getting both of them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
But even especially when I hover over it and the purple border lights up.
No, I totally get your point too. It's sort of like blue dress, gold dress, or whatever that thing was.
Yanni. It says Yanni, the audio. Same thing. There's a couple points in the tree, and this is something I think that's interesting, where you get an ability, and then 5 levels later, you get to pick a way to basically morph that ability. The term morph comes from ESO. In ESO, you'll get a base ability, and then as you exercise that ability a little bit, it unlocks a morph, a way to sort of advance it in one of 2 different directions. So here there's 3 different directions for 2 of the abilities. You get Reaping Strike at 10, and then at level 15, you get to pick one of 3 passives that modifies Reaping Strike. I think that's kind of cool. I think the idea of the morphing in that way is an interesting way to go about these as well. And that's what the little white line on that connects the abilities sort of points to. The next one is level 25, you get Voltaic Slash, and then level 30, again, you get 3 choices which sort of morph that ability in a various direction. The more they differentiate between the passives that morph the ability, the more you can define the class to say, I need or want to be a little bit more defensive, or I need a little bit of CC in PvP, or I need a little bit of extra DPS because I'm just going to lay it on and be the cannon for the group. So I thought that was cool. See here on this is the other reason I didn't think you got both of these, because everything on this rightmost column, that's what you just get. So I feel like they should take both of these things and just shove them over here into the right column. Because you get, why didn't they put Saber Conduit here next to these because you get
Right.
Saber Conduit too.
No, I agree. Ability tree and ability list. Yeah.
I'm still
To
complaining
me,
about
to
that.
me, an ability list should be a list of all the choices you made from the tree, but
Right,
it clearly isn't. Yeah.
right. Let's see. Uh, do you use lacerate, the AoE spinny
I
spammable AoE when you're leveling on your assassin?
I do. Yeah.
I use it all the time.
Yeah.
And then in the current game, the very first utility point you can put into the lacerate, which makes lacerate damage increase by 25%. A lot of people have noticed you don't get that until level 60 in this tree. Even the ability to choose, and it's a choice out of 3 things. Because we love to use that, especially while we're leveling, it's sort of like an open world leveling thing. Yeah, you can use it in some group content as well, but it's of these other 2 things, like well, they're both passives. Let's see it. So it's force phase. Force speed and Phantom Stride grants force phase, removing all movement and parrying effects and granting immunity to them for 2 seconds. That's kind of really useful in PvP. And Speed Surge says activating Shock, Ball Lightning, or Eradicate increases your movement speed by up to 50% for 9 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 18 seconds. So potentially both of those would be more valuable especially in PvP. In PvE, maybe it's not as much of an issue. Oops, there we go. A little Comcast special for those not watching the video. I got logged out. Unless maybe I was just no, it's your connection got dropped. I'll log back in. But
So
that's
it's weird that they take things that used to be what you got early on in your adventure and move them out later,
yeah,
because one of the things that you want when you have so many classes, we have 8, well, I'll call it 8, is you want them to each have their distinct personality, and I thought the goal for a long time has been now that you have that personality and you build on it, not that you level to a certain point and then change how you do things.
right. I agree. So a couple of these abilities are even more dramatic in that way. You're absolutely right. Like overload. Overload coming later in the tree. Well, that's still level 20. I think I saw something again in Hatred, which is the dot spec, where you don't get some of the key like dot abilities until later. Yeah, here, let's go over to Hatred. Hatred, you don't get Creeping Terror until level 40, which is sort of central to the whole purpose of Hatred. That's like one of your key dots. You need to be laying down that dot and then using your death field, which you do get at level 10, to spread that, and you're centering the whole class is defined by the dots and the sustained damage. To not have a key rotation ability to level 40 seems like a bad place in the tree. So you're right.
Especially since a lot of this, or one of the things they're trying to improve is the new player experience, so that yeah, it seems like the sort of key abilities would be available lower for the new players, as well as the people who already know and are looking forward to it.
Right. And then the level 70 change opportunity for everyone. It's not a problem. It's an opportunity. You can either get Severing Slash. So it's sort of like an AoE blast, strikes targets in a cone, dealing, sort of 10k weapon damage and slowing their movement by half. Or you get Whirlwind, or you get Force Shroud. So these are 3 active abilities that you have to only pick one. So Whirlwind on an assassin is only the 8-second, sort of the 8-second CC, which is still useful in both PvP and PvE. But Severing Slash, so now you've got a DPS blast versus Whirlwind, which is a CC, versus Force Shroud, which is a defensive cooldown. That's kind of a choice. So that's a solid choice that you need to make. that's also the opportunity that a lot of the classes that look at that level 70 have to complain, because it might be things that all of those seem really useful and you use all of those today. Now, in the threads, I didn't see too many people complaining too much about having to make that choice. So that's good. But, and maybe people are just getting used to it showing up that way. So that's what we've been speculating. What did we speculate? Oh, yeah, it's going to be Rocket Out or Rocket Out or responsive safeguards. That's going to be our level 70 from Merck. So
Yeah, that is, it's, those three things seem so unrelated to each other. But, it doesn't feel as much like the level 15 choice clearly seems like, oh, you just pick a flavor of the ability. But these seem really unrelated to each other in a way.
right. Although, I mean, you could say damage versus crowd control versus defense is a path to pick.
Yeah, that's true.
But did they just like pick a random ability out of
mean,
each of those three categories
I
and
can
shove them in
kind of
there?
see this because, like, I mean, I know we're not talking about tanking, but there's definitely situations where, as an assassin, you may want to be able to purge hostile removable effects from yourself,
Certain fights.
but not
Right.
all the time. Yeah.
So let's take a look at the tank, because that is out there as well. Again, feedback on the forums about the classes. And I even talked to a couple players that main an assassin tank, and the feedback was pretty positive. Yeah, this looks like something I can work with. Looks kind of interesting, and some interesting tricks and things that we can play around with. Most positive feedback of any of the classes so far. So again, let's take a look. The most dramatic parts again are going to be that level 70 where you have to pick between overload. Now, I don't like a tank to have overload, so I don't think that it's that bad that they would potentially not take it. Because if a tank has overload, it knocks the mobs out of my death from above. That's the main problem. I just cast death from above. You got one tick off, and then you knocked all the mobs out. You're killing my meters here, man. So you get to pick from overload or severing slash, which again is a little bit more of that AoE slash in a cone in front of you. That seems really useful for a lot of tanks to be able to gather up, especially in AoE situations with a bunch of adds. That's a key ability to gather those mobs up. And then Whirlwind, which again, so that's the opportunity for a little bit of extra control or CC. So in specific fights, most PvE situations, the tank, the mobs are immune to CC. So I really wonder how useful that is in typical PvE situations where a tank would need that. In PvP, if you're playing a tank spec in PvP, which again, if you're like putting all DPS gear on and you got a tank spec and you're sort of tuned up to be able to do a bunch of damage, even though your tank spec, that's called skank tank. And as a skank tank in PvP, that might still be quite desirable. I don't know. So interesting choice. And again, and then this is the other one. This level 35 was the other place that people were looking closely at the two passives that you might be able to choose from. Dark Forces, which is as you damage your target that you have mind controlled, you restore 2 force. So you've taunted something and then you're damaging it, you restore 2 force and you heal up yourself a little bit of a self heal. That's interesting. The second passive is Reckless Defense. Consuming a charge of recklessness grants you and nearby allies Reckless Defense, increasing damage reduction 5% per stack for the group. So Reckless Defense stacks up to 3 times and lasts 6 seconds. Again, really interesting choice. It's a passive, but it's modifying your recklessness charges. And then the third one is active ability Overcharge Saber. So you have to, this is a pretty significant choice and a little bit of sort of scenario defining for a tank. Overcharge Saber, that overcharges your lightsaber, restores 15% of your max health, increases the damage of all charges by 50%. So it's kind of like a buff and increases healing effects on you. A buff of both of your defense and a buff of your outgoing damage. Really kind of a significant ability and quite used by, well, like by, I think by all of the, definitely by all tanks today. So this is going to be a tough choice. I think it's mostly going to be a tough choice between, well, we'd have to see. I would be interested how powerful Dark Forces would be, which is 1% of 1% of your maximum health. So it only restores 2 force each time you deal damage to a target you have mind controlled. Each time, and it doesn't even say this can only occur once every X number of seconds. Each time you deal damage to a target you have mind controlled, you restore 2 force and heal for 1% of your maximum health. So that's got to have a cooldown. That can't be 1% healing every global cooldown. As you know, so if you taunt a target, you get 1% of your health healing per global cooldown for the rest of the boss fight. There's got to be an internal timer on that, I would think. But then this one, there's a lot of fights where the passive for reckless defense, where you get defense, a defensive across the whole group. Wow, that can get interesting. Especially if you're in a big fight where there's a lot of damage going out on everybody and everybody's has taken a whole bunch of damage. Oh, I wonder if you took this in the council fight in SOA, if it would, the whole fight would fail. Because that's going to put a buff, a defensive buff on everyone in the group, right? And if you get any defensive buffs cast on you during the council fight in
The council fight, yeah.
in Eternity
wonder,
Vault,
yeah.
then everyone's screwed and no one can do damage anymore, and you fail the fight. So you're gonna have to
Merlin
spec
says
out of
pretty
that.
sure they mean only while the taunt debuff is active on the target.
So only within that, which is what, 6 seconds?
6 seconds, yeah.
Okay. Mass mind control, 6 seconds. So it didn't say you have mind controlled while it's under, so they should say while it's under the effect of mind control.
Yeah, I mean, they can't put everything in the, well, yeah, I agree.
They can. Did
Yeah,
you
they
ever
can.
see the
Some of the tooltips are really long, yes.
Matt Bucevich's tooltip on the serum injectors in Duxon? It's
Yes.
it's like a 4-page PDF.
Yes.
They could. Certainly could. And then again, that lacerate damage by 25% up there at level 60. We want that sooner. That should be moved down.
So I don't remember, but did the Sage Soric ability that gives you 25% to that AoE, is that also at level 60?
I don't remember either. The 25% to Lightning Storm. I do not remember. I don't remember. That's a good question. And the same thing with the 25% to Sweeping Blasters. We'll see where that's at for.
Oh yeah.
For mercenaries.
I guess we'll see that next week. Well, I mean, soon.
Yeah, maybe not next week. Whenever they get it to us. So
yeah,
that would be interesting. And Merlin also clarifies that it's better than it sounds, though, since the taunt cooldown is like 15 seconds. So you get 6 seconds out of every 15 seconds if you keep that. Really, the taunt cooldown on a mind control is only 15 seconds? I thought it was longer than that. So you could potentially have 40% uptime. So 6 out of every 15 seconds or 24 seconds. So at least 24% healing per minute throughout the fight with that, taking that passive. That does seem powered, if not overpowered. Interesting. Okay.
Power.
That's one ultimate power. That is one to watch. We have talked about our second style. I heard you
Yep.
like styles. What about second style? Had have a second breakfast joke in there. We have often said or joked about everyone's going to have, all the Force users are going to have an assassin or shadow as their second style because then you can stealth through everything. Do you still buy into that?
I mean,
Seema.
what what makes Shadow and Assassin killer for me is the combination really of stealth and force speed because operatives, I mean, yeah, operatives and scoundrels can stealth, but their speed thing is, to me ungainly and awkward compared to force speed. So I just really like how you can go around in stealth. You can alternate between force speed and rocket boost, and you pretty much get a lot of uptime out of that combination. So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely see that. And then um, the ability on the assassin, well, scoundrel, all both the force and the tech version of this, they both have an ability that I'll call SAP because that's what it was called in WoW, but it's the 60-second
Mind trap or whatever.
yeah, CC that you have to do before combat starts. And also the ability to leave combat and go into stealth is just a really nice combo for just running around the world and doing stuff. Um, and you can do all that on the tech version. It's just, I think, force speed just gives a little edge. This is just a little bit more elegant than, rolling around.
Right. You're right. I really like being able to do force speed and ro- rocket boots. What does Marcus insist that you have to say? You have to say rocket boots or something. Rocket boost while you're stealth and flip back and forth between them. High uptime on zipping around and moving fast while stealth. That is really cool and does get you through a ton of stuff. Have you brainstormed those, Seema, on any other unique combos? Because I had some
Well,
brainstorms that I'll
I
get to,
mean,
but
I
of second styles that you're going to want to do.
I before we leave this thing about tech and force, so but what tech has going for it is you can be in a healing spec and do all that, which is
True.
really useful if you're exploring new areas or don't know how something works. The amount of survivability I'm finding in my healing specs is so much. Well, you have more time to make decisions. Let's put it that way. Now that I'm running around more on my characters that don't have a lot of healing, or they do have self healing abilities and effects, but it's not like being a healer. Um, yeah. So that's a healer that can stealth is a pretty strong combo. So
Oh, yes. Yes. Especially for PvP, that's highly valued. And that's why you see so many, operative and smuggler healers in PvP. The ability for them to basically be untargetable as the 4v4 match starts is a big deal. And for them to vanish and become untargetable, it keeps your healers around for slightly longer. It is quite valuable there. Having it just in your back pocket as a second style, that's potentially really good as well as just being able to stealth around and do whatever as a DPS version of that, of a operative or smuggler. One of the things that I came up with in my own head, and who knows what goes on in there.
I mean, it's easier than coming up with something in somebody else's head.
But you can try. What I'm going to do with my two mains, though, is something a little bit different. And
Yes.
mostly because of the way I play them. So I play on the Imperial side, my main is my mercenary. I play it as an Arsenal Merc right now. Sometimes I switch to Innovative Ordnance, but it's DPS Merc. On the Republic side, my main is mostly a Vanguard tank. So I play tank. As you know, I sometimes switch to DPS, but mostly tank. My big sort of cognitive dissonance between them is I have a power tech on the Imperial side, and I have a commando on the Republic side, and I share the armor between those 4 characters so that I can get the a tank on both sides and like a geared out, maxed out tank on both sides and a geared out, maxed out DPS on both sides. But it's not my main character that I like to play with, with the gear and the cosmetics and where I want all the achievements to be necessarily if I have to go and do DPS on the Republic side or if I have to tank on the Imperial side.
Mhm.
So
Right.
my mercenary is going to get a Vanguard second style, and my
Yeah.
Vanguard is going to get a mercenary second style. And then they'll basically be mirrors of each other. And I'll
Right.
get to switch back and forth. And I'll get the cool part of being able to use a blaster rifle on my mercenary when I switch to the to the Vanguard specs, including the Mandalorian disintegrator rifle. And
Yep.
on my Vanguard side, I'll be able to dual wield blasters.
Yep.
When I sort of brainstormed that and thought about that, came up with that idea, I really got a kick out of it, both from the stylistic perspective, the utility perspective. I'm really up for it. But
I mean, of course, though, your Vanguard, when you're dual, you actually will be
Yeah. DPS.
a commando.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'll only be able to do that when I'm DPSing. And same thing on the mercenary side. I will only be able to use my bowcasters or my
I just
JP
clarifying
rifle.
because
For those.
when we first
those
saw those
playing from
pictures,
home.
we thought we'd be yeah,
Right.
exactly.
What we were hoping was I could still be a mercenary, but I could wield a saber staff, which would be weird. But I could use rifles as a mercenary, but you can't.
Yeah, what I'll do, I don't know what I'm gonna do on my Merc.
Would
Well, I'm probably gonna do operative on my Merc. Yeah, for sure.
to get that? Well,
It's weird on my Merc. I'm more excited about loadouts than the second combat style.
right, the ability to quickly swap between and remember, Chris Schmidt said you'll get a series of loadouts, something like 5.
Right. So
even though you have
on
2
my Merc,
styles, you'll be able to have 5
I'll
loadouts.
have in my one Merc style, I can be like a DPS. I can have a DPS loadout and a healing loadout.
And a stealth loadout, or maybe 4.
Well, no, a stealth would be my
would
combat.
be
Would be my
right.
second combat style for that character.
But you could have like a Merc DPS and then a stealth DPS and a stealth healer. So you could have 3 loadouts that would switch between the different things. So like if you still wanted to use stealth for doing dailies, but you wanted it to be DPS and not healing, you could have another loadout hotkeyed for that. Chris did leave the door open, if you remember from our interview, of potentially down the road more than 2 styles. So that would be nice in this case now for my Merc Vanguard combos, because then I can add the stealth as the third, and then have the loadouts to swap to that.
Right, and I did say at the time that I wanted at least 3, but the more I think about it, I think I'm going to have my sort of mind and imagination full for a while with figuring out the 2.
I agree. And then that will be a good opportunity for them to add something and expand it once people have sort of gotten used to the system and grown into it. Yeah. Because it will take a little bit for us to unpack and figure out the optimal use of the different loadouts and what we each as individuals want to do. But as we're brainstorming, you can even hear in our conversations as we talk about it, I think it is going to solve their design goal of, even though they're taking away some abilities and simplifying each particular loadout a little bit, the amount of flexibility and complexity that you now have to play with to customize the way you want to play is high. It's high. There's a lot. Never tell me the odds, but it's high. that will be quite interesting. All right. I think that is it for this week. Boy, I would love it if
Yeah.
for podcast next week, if they got us, you know what's going to happen is they're not going to
after.
get, it's going to come the day, it's going to come Thursday, or like Friday morning at 8 a.m. They're going to put up the PTS
Right.
with
See
Merc
Friday
Commando.
morning. Right.
But
right.
then episode 400 is the next week. So we won't even be able to talk about the Commando Merc for 2 weeks. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
So I have a wrap-up statement to make about the PTS,
Okay.
which we didn't touch on scaling at all. But if you ever wanted revenge on Trapjaw for that moment when you were leveling, when you first started playing the game and you clicked on the thing and Trapjaw jumped out and killed you, now is the time. Go on the PTS, summon Trapjaw, and just one-shot his butt.
That is awesome. You are absolutely, wow, I didn't even think of that. What a brilliant idea. Revenge on Trapjaw, revenge on that stupid world boss on Terrace where you click the blue thing. I wonder if you could solo Nightmare Pilgrim right now. Oh, that is great, Seema. That is brilliant. There you go, everybody. Go smack Trapjaw in the face. Go solo Trapjaw on the PTS. That is
quickly
a great
before
idea.
they fix the scaling.
Right. Now that they heard Seema, right, because it is broken, they meant to have it in there as planetary scaling. It's supposed to be in there right now. It will not last long. Next PTS update, I don't guarantee. I expect that it'll be fixed. So you maybe have, you have a week, because again, the PTS is going to go live the minute we post the podcast next week. And yes, chat room, episode 400, 2 weeks from now, we'll do a little something. It's not gonna be too crazy, but we'll probably we'll do something. We'll do something about it. And we won't forget. We won't get to episode 401 going, oh, look, we passed 400, as we've kind of done in the past.
Oh.
But right now, we are on episode 398. So EPC 398, 398 droids after EPC 0, who you got a glimpse of earlier in the show, is ready to broadcast this episode. So we're going to kick this droid out an airlock to begin a rotation floating through space around the galaxy to broadcast this episode to all of you. Please follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Max the Gray if you want to know when the show is going live and when we post the edited show, when YouTube finally processes our videos these days. You can also find us on YouTube at twitch.tv/ or YouTube/New Overlords. We're on Twitch at twitch.tv/New Overlords. But the main place to come find us is AIE-guild.org. In the upper right is our guild Discord link, where you can get into the guild Discord. We have guilds on the Republic and the Imperial side of Starforge. We do this podcast so people can hear about the game, hear about us, hear about AIE, and come play. Jump in the Discord, ask for a guild invite. We would love to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.